Welcome to Daily Dose Radio, a 5-minute devotional podcast studying the Psalms verse by verse. Broadcast from the ever-beautiful Sharonville, Ohio, on the sunny side of Cincinnati. Hey, welcome back to Daily Dose Radio. So glad you could join me today. You don't want to miss a moment of this week's broadcast. The podcast this week are going to feature the 8th division, or the 8th division, of Psalm 119, and we're going to be looking at the grand experience of the life of faith, or the grand experience of the Christian life. It's outlined for us right here in this passage in verses 57 through 64 of Psalm 119. So I hope you'll take just 5 minutes a day. That's all I ask, 5 minutes a day. Just take those 5 minutes. Join me every day. And we're going to look at verses 57 through 64 and look at this idea of the grand experience of the Christian life. And our prime word this week is the word to keep. You'll remember that in the Aleph division, which was the very first division, verses 1 through 8, we had the word keep as our prime word. Now we come back to the 8th division now, and we have it again. Now it doesn't occur as often here, this section, as we had it in the first section, but it's a prime word because it nicely, actually the whole drapery of this section hangs on the 3 pegs of the word keep. So it's very important to the whole structure here in this part of the Psalter, of Psalm 119. So we're going to read today verse 57, and we'll have our first instance of the word keep. And remember, this is my translation, so I've done it. It's rough. It's a little rugged. If you want something a little smoother, go back to your Authorized Version or your New American Standard, whatever it is you use, and follow that. But just know that what I'm reading is my translation, and this one, and especially 57, is a little bit rough. He says, I said, the Lord is my portion, keeping your word. Notice the way in which 57 is worded here. I said, the Lord is my portion. So, as I teased you at the very beginning here, this is the grand experience of the Christian life. The very first thing we have is confession. That's what we kick it off with. Confession. I said, the Lord is my portion. Now, that's so important, and it's very profound, this idea of the Lord being our portion. The story is well known of St. Bernard and his brothers. All but the youngest of these brothers were going to go into the monastery. They're following the monastic life. And so St. Bernard and his brothers all went, and all of them except for their youngest brother, they went to say goodbye to their father. And when they got there, the oldest brother, Guy, spoke to the youngest brother, Navard. And this is what he said. He said, farewell, my little brother, Navard. You will have all our lands and goods for your own. What? Answered the boy, will you take heaven for your own portion and leave me only the earth? The division is too unequal. Isn't that beautiful? And, of course, that's so true, because if you have the Lord as your portion, what else really do you need? Well, you need nothing, because He is all in all. He's your supply. He's your source. He's the fount of all blessing. He's the fount of salvation, protection, graces that are multiplied every day, mercy that's renewed every morning. I mean, the Lord is our portion. And for the believer, this is where we begin. We confess, the Lord is my portion. I said, the Lord is my portion. And notice what that brings us to. The very next thing is keeping. So we go back to our prime word here, keeping your word. So the portion of the Lord leads us to something, and that something is keeping. How shall a young man keep his way pure? By keeping according to your word. That's the plan. And now we have this grand experience which begins with confession, and that confession is dependent upon something. It's dependent upon keeping the word of the Lord, keeping your word. So my confession begins this experience, and it's going to be followed up tomorrow with prayer and repentance. And so I hope you'll join me then as we look at verses 58 and 59 on Daily Dose Radio. Thanks for listening to Daily Dose Radio. I'm David Smith. The music today has been performed by the Bluegrass Experiment. Thanks again for listening. I'll see you next time on Daily Dose Radio.